Good morning, all you stylists from the break room. Good morning. What is going on, John? We've got a topic to discuss today, which is a little mind boggling to me. I don't quite understand it. So, this is what we got to do. I was sitting with a buddy of mine, and we're just people watching. A couple of girls goes by, and he goes, "You know, does she have hair extensions?" I'm like, "Yes, no, 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 no. Oh my God, look at that one." And he goes, "What?" And then he looks over and he goes, "Oh, oh." He goes, "I can even tell that one." Like, yeah, yeah, that's bad. That one's a bad one. And we're just sitting there. He's not a hairdresser, so he's just sitting there and he's looking at it. He's looking. And he goes, "Why do you do that?" What? When you do people's hair extensions, why do you do that? I'm like, whoa, I claim no responsibility for that kind of a job. Okay. The length was fine for the woman's frame and body and everything. The length was fine, but it was blunt cut across the bottom. So, meaning it was cut straight across the bottom. And with hair extensions, especially when they're long, first of all, wherever your natural hair length is versus whatever the length you have, there's a certain distance where if you do it too long, you can totally tell where your natural is and where the hair extensions is. The other problem is your natural hair shifts and moves. The extensions, when they're that long, sit so heavy, they don't move. And when they do move, they all move like this and like this. You're
Right?
lagging out. You got a bad internet connection and you're just lagging out. It doesn't move right at all. And then, of course, if your hair is too short and the extensions are too long, then you're seeing all the bonds, all the attachment points everywhere. So I'm going, I do not do that. He goes, well, why do they do that? Now I'm sitting there going, yeah, why do we do, as a stylist, why do we do that? All weekend we're just walking around looking at people going, no, 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 yup, that's extensions. No, no. I wonder if that one might actually be a good job. It's like the whole weekend we're just picking apart bad extension jobs where we were. There was a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of activity.
Right.
So then my question to you is what is I mean, obviously hair is worth having, but at what cost is hair extensions having? Does the client know they show and she looks bad? She's going out with a group. Does her friends or the people in her group not see that and not know? Do they not care? Do they not say anything? Like, I'm getting up to go over and say something. He's grabbing me and pulling me back, going, dude, you're off of work. You're not on right now. It just, what is the stylist doing in those scenarios? How? I don't get it.
It's a catch-22 that a lot of stylists find themselves in, where that client wants that mermaid hair, or that they want that long hair. And you as a stylist, you've been in this situation. We've all been in it, where it's like, yeah, I don't think this is going to look that good on you, but they want it. And if you don't give it to them, someone else will, right?
Is that mentality? So then that just makes it okay. Then it's just worth doing it just for the sake of doing it.
It's what there comes that line in the sand of, this is what she wants. And I've been in that situation where it's like, this is not going to look good on you. And they're like, well, I want it. And if you don't do it, I'll find someone else who will.
Okay. I mean, look, everybody that knows me knows I go through this all the time. I love saying no to clients. I love firing clients. I love, well, let me rephrase it. It's not that I love saying no or I love firing clients. I don't have issue doing it. That's really the better way to say it. It's not that I get off on doing it. I just don't care. It's not worth my headache to do it. And yeah, okay, I've had clients go other places and get their hair done, but then most of them, high
End up.
them come back and I got to fix it and I got to deal with it. And it's annoying as hell. I hate it, but I do it, and then when they bring it up, the I told you so part, I don't even hit them with the I told you so. I just sit down and have a, what is that called when you have that coming to Jesus talk? Was it intervention? I sit there and have an intervention with them. And
Right.
What are we going to do about this moving forward?
Well, I get that, and you and I are at the stages in our career where we can do that. But if you're a young, hungry stylist and you've got someone that wants that big ticket extension job, are you going to do it, or are you going to turn her down?
I mean, if you're smartly trained, then you should turn her down. What is it? But if you're desperate, okay, so then if you're desperate and you're new and you're like, is it because, why can you not turn that down? Is the stylist afraid? Is it the inexperience? What is
Yes, it's all that. It's all that. They're scared about making someone upset. That is their worst nightmare. And in their minds, they're playing, oh my God, if I don't do this lady's hair the way she wants it, she's going to be out there talking about me and I'm going to get negative press. So you're in a catch-22 though. I still remember the first time, and I'll use color as an example, when I was a young colorist and this woman sat in my chair, level 3 box color, wanted to be blonde, and I dove in. I dove in head first, knowing, and in the back of your mind, you know what this is going to be, and yeah, it turned into a week-long brawl with this woman. I think a lot of my anxiety that I still have comes from her. But I was a young stylist. I wanted to make a mark. But I think that there comes that point, that tipping point in your career, as you've become so experienced, and like you just said, the aggravation that is going to come, and you are better off going, no, I'm not going to do this. I can do this for you where it'll look good, and you and I can work towards what you want. But what we're talking about is that extreme. We were at a big box store. And Erin and I are walking, and she goes, "Oh my God, look at her hair." Because when I'm in those stores, I just know what I want. I want to get in. I want to get out. Okay, I'm not people watching whatsoever. I don't care. I just want to get in, get out, because deep down inside now at this stage of the game, I don't like people. And it gets too people-y in those places. And there's this girl walking, and you could see she had a track and sew, and you could see half the freaking left is hanging. It was poking out from her head, almost like a shark fin. And she did the same thing to me, like your buddy did you. She goes, "Why would?" And I go, obviously she's not kept up on the maintenance on that, and whoever put that in did not put that in very well either.
So unfortunate.
It is, but really, I mean, there is that line in the sand with the client where, you and I doing this for how long we've done it, we know that it's actually, we're trying to lessen the pain. But if you're young or if you're new to the industry and you're trying to get clients, you're going to dive in. 90% of the time, people dive in.
All right. So if you have to dive in, then what do we have to look for? Then that's got to be the thing. How do you save your hair extensions? How do you save this on the clients?
how do you save this on the clients? I think that being honest is first and foremost. Okay, you have to be honest with the client after you've done. I think really first thing you got to do is a consultation. Let's really, if we're going to do, you want to break this down. First things first is a consultation, and in that consultation, you have to go over you got to manage those expectations. Because yeah, you've got someone who's got hair, a chin length bob, and you're going to put 22-inch extensions into her and not do any blending or anything like that, so her head looks like a mushroom cloud.
This obsession with length equals beauty is out of control. Is so out of control. Everybody wants to have this long hair. I don't get it. You'd be surprised how many times I have a conversation with a woman. They don't factor in how tall they are, and especially how tall or how long their torso, their upper body is, more than anything else. Okay, because there are some girls, they got height to them, but they're all legs. Their torso is like 2 feet, and then the other 4 feet of them is all legs, right? And it's disproportional. You know exactly what am I talking about. Oh, I choked. Excuse me. And whoever's listening, you know exactly what am I talking about. If you have a shorter torso, unfortunately, you cannot have long hair. You're gonna look goofy as hell. You gotta, wherever the hair length ends, you're cutting off the rest of your torso, basically. Unless you layer the hell out of it, then you can accentuate and show it off and all of that. But how much hair extensions would you need? And how big is your head to get that much hair in, to have all that length and have it layered? Because let me tell you, I've seen long hair extensions layered. It looks like straggly. It looks so straggly. That's another aspect of it too. It's have you seen what am I talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Here's but I'm gonna back us up for just a minute. And I really think that if we're gonna, like we said, we're gonna break this down, you've got to do your consultation, and you've got to cover exactly what you just talked about. What's gonna look good for them with their torso, their face shape, the whole 9 yards. Okay, because the obsession with long hair is not manageable for some people, like you just talked about. It is completely not manageable. And yeah, I mean, you see these bad extension jobs. Or here's my favorite is they'll go on Amazon and buy the clip-ins. And you see them clipped in. You see the clip ones in, which you haven't had a professional blend them into your haircut, number one. And then most of the time, they're not even, you're trying to do it yourself. They're not even, and they try to wear it down or they beach wave it. And it's like this,
I'll give a pass on that one. I know exactly what you're saying on that one. I feel, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
But point being is that if you are a professional, and I don't care, and to what you were saying is, I don't care what level you are in the profession. If you're a newbie or someone who's old and your shoulders is being held on with duct tape from all the styling you've done, okay? You've got to do a consult. You've got to get back to the basics, and especially with hair extensions, because the client that wants hair extensions will pay for them, and we're doing this to make a living. But you've got to get back to the basics and do a full consultation. And I'm old school. I there's a girl here who has a little laptop stand next to her station, and while she does a consultation, she's talking and putting notes in and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. I wish I had that technical brain. I still have client cards, but I make notes, and you make notes, and you've got really, and I'll say it again, is you've got to manage the expectations because you want them to look good. You don't want them to look like if they're here, who's watching the trailer park. Okay. And then you can get into the technical aspect of really what's next on the list. Then is if you come to an agreement, is then head mapping and mapping out where you're going to put those extensions. Correct.
Man, that is so rough. All right, look. What kind of styling comb do you use? Do you use the full size styling comb or do you use the shorter ones?
I use a full size.
So is it an 8-inch? Is it a 10-inch? What is the length on that styling comb?
That's a great question. I think that's a 10-inch, right?
Yes.
All right. Now you're asking. Hold on. 8.5.
8.5. Okay. So and that's about the average full length style comb.
Yeah.
Some of them, sometimes they have the sectioning tooth on it, so it might be a couple inches longer. So let's just say 8 to 10 inches. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. On your client, you find the shortest layer that the client has, and you take the styling comb from their shortest layer, and wherever the styling comb ends, that's where the shortest layer should equal on their length.
Really?
And then wherever their length is, chin, neck, shoulders, whatever it is, again, same thing. You take that styling comb, and however far down that comes, that's where their length should be. Now you're keeping proportional distance in adding that length to the hair. Does that make sense?
Totally. Wow.
So then
I dig this.
Yeah. You could totally blend all the layering that she has with her current style. That's how you truly extend a current style with hair extensions. Okay. The problem, what happens is, okay, so you were talking about hair color earlier. Everybody wants that fantasy color. Everybody wants the pop. Everybody wants the platinum, the all of that. Yes, and that sounds great. And it's fashionable. It is. And it looks awesome. Okay, fine. I'm all for it. Same thing happens with hair extensions, They just want length. Length equals cool. Length equals sexy. Length equals great job. But it's so wrong. That is so wrong. That is so, so wrong. Hair extensions is supposed to extend and enhance your natural style. So by taking that comb and from the shortest layer, extending it that far, and from the longest length, the baseline length, extending it that far, you can visually see what would still look proportional. And then you'd still have to evaluate how long or how short somebody's torso is. And you also have to evaluate how chesty is that the nice way how to say it? How large the breast area is?
Chest. I mean, I don't know the proper technical term for that.
I don't know, like however you want to call it. Okay. I'm just trying to be like, I'm not trying to be thing right now. I'm legitimately saying this because if you're smaller, again, this is total technical. I'm talking right now. I'm not care about.
Yeah. No.
If as a woman, if you have a smaller chest, if you're a smaller cup size, the advantage of that is you can get away with having a little bit longer hair. But you have to be mindful because you don't have all that area that the hair has to travel. Okay. So you're automatically by default going to have longer looking length. So you have to be mindful of where your ribs are and how long your torso is, because your rib cage, once the hair hits about the mid towards the bottom of your rib cage, that's pretty much it. And that's where people's eyes are going to be drawn to, and that's where they're going to be staring at. And most women, they don't want people staring at their stomach area.
True.
But if you have all that hair stopping right here, I have no choice but to look here because I can't see anything else if it's all covered up but with the hair, you know. Now, if you're a busty, that's the word. If you're a bustier woman, you have a lot more surface area. So, you know, you might say, oh, I want the 18-inch, but you might have to get the 20-inch, the 22, the 26, the 28. You may need that extra length to go over to reach down. Because if you don't, 18 to 20 inches on standard cup size is going to end up here. Now everybody's just staring right here at you, saying hello, and if you're confident and you're good with that, then all for it, right? But if you're not confident and you're saying, going, my eyes are up here, guy, what's up? So, you're that's some of the physicality of what you got to deal with.
Right.
You got to think about these things. You really, really got to think these things through.
Right.
It's a good, quick visual thing about this. So you were not aware of the styling club at all?
No. And how many classes have I sat in with you on that? I don't think you've ever, either I was ignoring, I don't know. A lot of times your voice tends to just run straight through my head. But I'm using that. That is, I think that's
about hair extensions. That'll work with a long layered haircut as well, if you think about it.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I'm stealing that totally. But but that once again, and I've been kind of beating on it a little bit today, but the comb technique and everything that you just talked about, that's all part and parcel with your consultation, right? And you just got into that when you're consulting with someone of, this, where we're at here. That's all part of it. That is that. And then with that consultation, also then we have to get into the next step of care and maintenance of said extensions. True?
Care and maintenance is so simple. That's what's the most mind-boggling to me more than anything else. Brush your freaking hair.
But now, as simple as that sounds, then comes, well, I don't want to pull them out.
No, that's it. That's my whole maintenance freaking program. Brush your freaking hair. I ain't saying nothing beyond that. I don't give a crap if you go swim, if you go fart, if you go, out for a walkabout. I go a long walk off a short pier, off a short cliff, off a short freaking mountain. I don't care. Brush your damn hair. There you go. There's a nice little, I don't care. Brush your hair. There, nice little rhyme for you. Coin that. Put that on a t-shirt.
Wait, but you used to yell at me when I tell you take care, brush your hair.
Yeah, nobody cares. That's the problem. Nobody cares.
Brush your damn hair. Wait, say it with the New York accent. Say it.
Just die. You along with everybody else, okay? Since you have the hair you have left is on your beard, I hope that rats up on you.
You leave me.
You mat up, tangle up, and it rats up. And I hope your hand gets stuck in that.
Look at this. See, it's becoming majestic. Majestic.
All right.
So,
what about?
Okay,
what's up?
Go ahead. Go ahead. So we talked about brush your hair is your maintenance for hair extensions. right?
If there's others that matter, I don't care about them. There are others that do matter. But I think a lot of the problems with bad hair extensions showing through, yes, some obviously placement is an issue, but you can compensate for the placement problems by combing and brushing your damn hair over to cover up where the fucking bonds are showing through.
Okay, so that takes us right to the next step of then there is maintenance, is there not?
Okay. Where are you going with
So
this?
wouldn't that be the next step in your initial consultation, is getting into the maintenance of these extensions,
I think
set
everybody
extensions?
is styling part of maintenance.
Don't you think?
I'm asking. I don't know what I think anymore because obviously I see so many bad ones. I don't even know no more. It could. That's the thing. What pisses me off is it could have been avoided. Like when I see bad hair, there are some bad hair extensions that you're just going, WTF.
Right, right.
But more so than not, when I see a bad hair extensions, it could have been prevented. It could have been avoided. Just if it was styled nicely, if the hair was combed nicely, brushed nicely that day, that moment, that whatever, it could have been avoided. So I'd say about maybe 60-70% of the bad hair extensions I see is a styling issue, not necessarily a maintenance issue or an application issue. I don't
So
know.
that so
Maybe I'm
then
being
does
lenient. I don't know.
but doesn't that go into you teaching your client how to take care of them? How to
But
style
this is
their
what I'm
hair?
saying. Even if you do teach them, you're not walking around with somebody all day. Like this is the thing. What gets me so pissed off. She's in a group. She was in a group. Like I've seen this so many times over this weekend. 3, 4, 6, 8 people, groups of women all walking together. And not one of them, hey girl, let's go to the bathroom right quick. You gotta let me just kind of, put this back together for you. Like nobody said a thing. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
I can't tell you the dynamics of a pack of women. I don't understand. Um, I barely understand what I do. So, but if your hair was all messed up, I would take you into the bathroom and fix it for you.
Aw. Stupid.
It's either that or start licking my hand like your mom used to. Come here,
I mean,
Eddie.
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. It's that simple. It's that simple. Go out there and lick each other. It's how easy it is. Right? Outside of that, another thing that I don't see enough stylists doing, and especially with keratin bonds, you can do this. Just cut the bonds smaller. What is this obsession with using bonds that are as long as my finger? I don't understand that at all. Just cut them down smaller. And then people are like, well, I make micro bonds. Okay, but your micro bonds are still 3 inches long. Why? Why do they have to be that extended? Why can't you just roll them, 1 inch? Why do they have to be so dragged out? Don't tell me they stick better to the hair because they don't. They break the hair the best way, but they don't necessarily mean that's going to help stick to the hair the best way. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with
No,
that at all.
I agree with you on that too, because there's no need to have an inch long bond, that's been well, you taught me to fold them, but my favorite is the people that take them and then just roll the hair up, and you see the hair twisted upon itself, and then you
Yeah.
wonder, you know, um, but once again, but you don't need it that long, um, I agree with you. I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. And also because then when you have someone like that with that giant bond, it just takes that much more time to get it out of the hair because you've got to soften up that whole bond.
Well, it takes it that much longer to get it out of the hair, but then hiding it, it's just not as easy as hiding it, and that's really the problem. The Why do stylists ignore cowlicks, or why do stylists believe that they can control a cowlick, like going in the direction they want it to go in? And why do they think that the client will be able to replicate that at home when a stylist is fighting a cowlick? Because I think that's where a lot of problems stem from.
I agree. But you can go back to hair cutting and cowlicks. And, our moms used to think that you could train a cowlick. Had nothing to do with the growth.
It that way, right? You train your part, you train your cowlick. Yeah. Don't you train your part to go the way you want it to go?
Because the growth direction has nothing to do with it, right?
No. Well, that's why you're training. So you change the growth.
So you can change the position of the follicle in the hair, in the scalp.
Why does this exist? Why does everybody know about it? What wisdom are you about to unveil, Mr. Behind the Curtain?
And what? And if you pluck one gray hair, 5 more grow back?
This is messed up. It's unfortunate. That's why you shouldn't pluck. Come mess them up.
I'm going to throw it back to you because you've taught so many hair extension classes. Why would you put an extension in a cowlick?
Because the problem is the cowlick splits that area of the hair, and then you have a blank spot. So you need more hair to fill in that blank spot. That's why you do it. Why else would you put hair right in the cowlick area?
Okay. So that'll last what? 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Once there's a little growth, then all of a sudden the hair is going to start folding that way?
Not even within the first week or two.
Okay. You say potato, I say potato. But that's a great point. But then doesn't that come down to training?
Does it though?
I'm asking.
I don't know, because we teach it in our classes all the time. And
then what? They forget about it?
I still see it out there in the wild. I don't know. They forget about it. They ignore it. They don't care.
Or just that they weren't trained by you.
Or maybe they need to train the cowlick better. Maybe that's a problem. Gotta train the cowlick better.
I think, really, if you go to the root of what we're talking about, I think that if you really go with, if you've had quality training to begin with, half of what we see, we wouldn't see. Because I'm going to go there, and even though we love YouTube, YouTube is not beauty school. YouTube, there is information on there that you can garner, but really to get into and do, especially something like hair extensions, and especially with the keratin bonds, to get into a true hands-on class where you can keep yourself from making those mistakes. And most of us being visual spatial, you got to do it to learn it. True?
Yeah, but you can learn. You can gather information from watching,
but not training.
So the disconnect in training there has to be that you have to be dedicated to practicing. You have to be dedicated to practicing, and if you're struggling and you can't get it to look right, you can't replicate it, then you got to go find help. You can't just write it off as oh well, you gotta go find help. So it could be a powerful tool if used correctly. Obviously, nothing is going to beat in-person hands-on training. I'll agree with you on that one, but there is something to it. I think the placement on video, you could kind of see that they go high up, but I tend to notice that when we're doing in-person training, people are nervous to go too high up and they tend to go lower all the time. And that's where it starts looking more like a mullet,
Yeah, or it gets very,
or like that
very
horse.
heavy.
It's very heavy, right? So that's, speaking of very heavy, that's the other thing I want to address too. Having hair in the wrong places, talking about placement strategies and stuff. If you have, as the client, as the person, as the woman putting the hair, receiving the hair extensions, if you have thin, fine hair, I understand you want to thicken it up. You want more volume. You want more fullness. I'm all for it. I get that, right? But within proportion, today's episode is proportional. That's the word of today, is proportional. You have thin, fine hair, and then all of a sudden you have this horse's mane coming down the shoulders down. It's a mismatch. It don't look right. It actually makes you look thinner than you already are. It doesn't help you look thicker and fuller. It just makes you look weird. And the ponytail test, I've told you, you've seen me do the ponytail test before.
Yeah.
When you put your perimeter in and you fill in the perimeter, you fill in the baseline of the hair extensions before you start going in and adding in more. Pull the hair back in a pony. So you're getting the client's natural hair and you're getting the hair extensions in there as well too. You're getting both of those together. And you put your hand at the base by the occipital bone, and then you start walking your hand down the ponytail, and what you're feeling for is obviously when you have the natural hair and the extension hair all together, that's going to be the thickest, the fullest. But then as you're walking it down, it should naturally start feeling thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, because as you're getting midway down the length or longer, their natural hair is not in there anymore. Right. But you can feel that transition and you can see where that drop off is. And if it feels too thin, too fast, then you got to add more in. And then you do it again. And then if it feels too thin, then you got to do it again. But at some point, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel natural. You really got to make a decision at that point. If you go past that, then it's going to start feeling thicker. But that is unnatural. And if that's really what the person is going for, then I guess, okay, fine. I don't know. But I think a lot of people make the mistake. I always get asked this question. Oh, should I get thicker density? Should I get more hair? How much hair do I need? How much hair do I need? It's like, there's ways to figure this out. There are so many ways to figure this out. That's definitely one of them. Okay. What I was just about to say, the difference being the more hair you put in, if you overload that hair, then that client has no choice. They have to curl their hair all the time. Because if they don't, then the disproportion is going to look obvious. Okay. And I get it. Sometimes people want to add more hair in, because if you add in the right proportion, if the client's hair is already too thin and too fine to begin with, then when they do go to wave or curl or do anything to their hair, it's going to look thinned out. I understand that part of it. So you might want to add slightly a little bit more. But if the client already has like a normal density to a thicker density to begin with, and you're proportionally adding in the right amount of hair, it's enough. It's fine. Unless the client absolutely wants those thick, full, wavy, beachy curls and things like that. All right, then you're making a conscious decision to do that because she's going to style her hair because she owns a goddamn brush. I don't know. What do you want to add to that? Because that's my feeling on it. That's my thought process.
I really don't have anything to add to that, because I think that you're 100% correct on that. And I think that, but see, we're getting to the point that we made earlier on of with the ponytail test, you're actually getting a natural feel to the hair, correct? Because if you take natural hair, as you move down the ponytail, the density is going to decrease, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, and this goes right along with what we were talking about, natural looking extensions instead of that blunt triangle look on their head because they put a massive extensions from the occipital down, and up here is this long, and they're gonna look like the what was that haircut that you and I make fun of all the time? The jellyfish haircut.
Yeah.
Right? And then yeah, but that being that point, I think you're 100% correct. I think that, and I love the ponytail test, because that really gives you more of a natural look and feel to the hair. And then we learned today about the comb. The comb that was awesome.
All right, then riddle me this one last thing.
Okay.
Why the blonde haircut on hair extensions? We say this week after week, year after year, time after time. Never cut hair extensions straight across blunt. And yet I see it done all the time.
I have my own theory on this. And because I think that people cut them blunt because they like that straight line. And the fact of that any kind of tapering or anything like that, it's going to look thin. They're scared it's going to look scraggly or what have you. So they just blunt it off.
I don't know. Straight haircut, blunt bottom does not equal fuller or thicker.
No.
It looks so fake. Hair naturally is not straight like that. It's always tapered at the ends. It's always shadowed at the ends. Okay. And you cannot control how fast or how slow each hair grows. Even the hairs all next to each other, side by side, will grow at different varying lengths. You cannot control anything.
Right.
When you cut the hair so straight across like that, when it starts growing out, it's going to look like a skyline, like a city skyline. It's not going to retain that weight line like that. It's just not going to do it. So yet I still see it all the time. Plus, when you cut the hair straight like that, the hair doesn't shift nice or naturally.
It's not going to flow. It's not going to flow whatsoever. So don't blunt cut your hair extensions, kids.
Yeah, do a shattered ends, tapered ends, razor the ends. I don't know, slide cut. What else is there? Texturizing shear. Do anything but the blunt lines.
Yeah, I agree. And really tapering and really creating that uneven line actually will create more the optical illusion of more length.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you are interested in some hands-on hair extension education, go to htbbeauty.com. We have Eddie's got classes. He teaches classes all year round. Definitely. Hey, he turned me into an extensionist, and that was a feat in itself. I highly recommend it. If you like what we do, you like the information that we give you and a little bit of silliness and everything like that, go to htbbeauty.com. Check it out, what we've got going on there. We are be back here next week with you guys, same time. And we invite each and every one of you guys, make a difference, one client at a time.
Watch it.
The SFTB podcast was not recorded in front of a live studio audience, so thanks for joining us for today's episode. If our hair topics made you smile, give us a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll read them while waiting for our caller to process. Share this video with your stylists and friends. It helps us make a difference, one strand at a time. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because your hair deserves all the latest and greatest tips.